Hey there guys, it's Huang here. Here just to talk to you a little bit about who you ask your questions to. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Huang Tran. I'm an occupational therapist and a certified hand therapist, and I help occupational therapists develop their careers and just have a great time and possibly one day become a certified hand therapist if you want. So I'm here. Please say hello. I'll wait for you guys, a couple more people to come on, and I just wanted to talk. I know I've had a couple of things on my mind lately, and it keeps going back to who do you ask your questions to can determine the type of answer you receive, right? So I'm going to give you a couple of examples that I've been kind of noticing. I just got off a coaching call with one of my members. I'm waiting for this video to convert and all that stuff. So say hello, how's everyone doing? And type into the chat, where are you tuning in from and where are you on your journey as an occupational therapist, as a hand therapist? I'd love to know. And that's who I'd like to help. I'd love to help you no matter where you are on that journey, where you're just starting out. So lately I've been getting a lot of questions, just letting me know, or maybe not even questions, but just letting me know where they are on their journey in terms of hand therapy. And some OTs are just starting to come out right now. I've been out in the workforce for like a couple of years, and they're struggling to get into the groove of working, getting into the groove of, developing their skills, developing their confidence in terms of being a great therapist, right? It just takes time. It takes a little bit of time to be a great therapist and actually to sort of weave your way into hand therapy sometimes. I'm 2 years in hand therapy, hoping to take the CHT next spring. Well, good for you. Awesome. That's really amazing. Congratulations for already being in hand therapy and being a CHT soon. So some people have that fast route and some people don't, right? And so I just want to encourage you that no matter where you are or how long it takes you, that it's possible, right? That it's possible if you want it. So I talk to lots of different people who maybe when they first start out can't get into that hand therapy position. So they might take any old job, right? And I don't know about you, but I did. I worked in a skilled nursing facility, several skilled nursing facilities, and I went and started working in the hospital setting. Hey, you're in LA. That's awesome. 7 years practicing, also a CHT. Good for you. That's awesome. So as a CHT, who do you ask your questions to? Because really at the end of the day, we all need some form or fashion of a support system, of accountability. Take the exam as soon as you can. Worst case outcome is you take it again next year. Absolutely. I completely agree with that too. But before you take the exam, you really want to be prepared. So I've talked to people like that too. They're like, I'm just going to take it and see where it goes, see how it goes. But yeah, if it's something that you want to do, I definitely agree to taking it. But as a CHT, who do you talk to? Who do you ask when you're needing support? And so I really do think that we all, to some extent or another, need what I call outside eyeballs, right? It's the idea that, you can't read the outside label when you're inside. And sometimes you're so close to yourself, you're so close to what you want, that's really hard to see what's going on. At the end of the day, if you really think about it, our patients come to us because they're too close to it. They want some kind of outcome results, and sometimes they can't see what's going on. So they come to you as the expert, as the therapist. You're the extra set of eyeballs for them. And then you can see and you can say, oh, here are the malalignments. I'm working with a hand guy who bilateral hand stuff, it's chronic. And I can look from the outside and say, oh yeah, when I see that I have bilateral hand stuff. I have certain symptomology. One of the first places I'm going to look is in the neck and shoulder. Do you have any neck or shoulder problems? Oh yeah, but it doesn't hurt. We're not looking for pain because you don't have pain. We're looking for problems, right? And here are the key things that I'm going to be looking for. So you ask very specific questions, and lo and behold, there is definitely a neck and shoulder component that they didn't even think that was he didn't think that was a problem because it didn't hurt. So sometimes we can be struggling, but it won't be that painful, right? But it did take him, took him a little while to get in here, but it was because surgery isn't an option. Really, so, let's wait until you get really bad and then we can have surgery. That's not an option, right? So if you think about it in terms of your career, let's wait until things are so terrible that we hate our jobs and we hate our career, and then what? What are we gonna do, There's no surgery for that. I mean, some people go back to school, but when you go back to school, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with another degree? You're coming out there, and still don't have the skills for that degree, right? What are you gonna do if you decide, I don't want to be an OT anymore? I want to go and do real estate. You still need to learn the game. You still need to learn the skills for that. And you still, when you're struggling with something, there's gotta be, who do you ask, right? Who do you talk to? So I'm a big believer, and I didn't believe this before. And I think it was just because I didn't know, well, back then there wasn't anything like this available, right? If you didn't find a local mentor, and you didn't find someone who's willing to give up their time to help you, you just kind of suffered through, and maybe it just took you longer. Now with the way technology is and everything that's available to us, we can actually do things quicker, faster, easier in so many respects if we're willing to take the time and and essentially be coachable, right? Essentially be coachable. So, who are you asking, or who are you counting on to really give you sound advice? I remember I was so thankful for having, being in several different types of business coaching programs for myself when the pandemic hit, that I knew I needed to do something. I just was uncertain, because it had never happened to me before a pandemic, and everything was shutting down, and people were scared, and I was scared. But I had somebody who I could go to, who regardless was even keeled and could see, be the extra eyeballs out of my business. And it was funny because as I was prepping, it took me several hours just to prep to ensure that I was asking the best questions, or I had questions to ask other than help me, but asking the right person really made sure that I was making the best decisions, and it helped me to make the decisions faster. And so this is essentially that type of conversation, because really one of the things I notice is if you're, for example, if you're kind of a new grad and you're out there and you're struggling, right? Hey, listen, if you're not struggling, kudos to you. That's really awesome. I'm so glad that you have this great job and stuff like that. But there's so many other people that are kind of struggling, and that they're not able to find a mentor. Places aren't open to just go and observe. It's extremely time consuming to go in, from a perspective of allowing people to come in and just observe, and it's extremely time consuming. So a lot of times people don't have the time anymore to give it. But who do you go to? So there was this new grad, has a terrible job experience, and she asked a question of isn't this so terrible? And then of course everyone's like, yes, this is horrible, get out. And as I was looking, I was like, the only thing I think that was missing, I mean, she was right. It wasn't a good fit for her. I mean, we didn't need to have 50 people tell us that. But one thing I noticed was that there was no plan. So if you're stuck in a terrible position, maybe you're stuck in a position that you don't like. Maybe you are a terrible boss. Maybe you have terrible coworkers. Maybe you don't like the setting you're working in. We can all agree you don't want it. You want a different situation, right? That's the easy part. Knowing I don't want that. What's the plan? Right? What's the plan? There's got to be a plan. And one of the plans is, if you can see it coming, right? I was actually talking to another CHT about this, and she's made out like a bandit, right? Because one, she could see something coming and she knew it wasn't for her. And two, she made decisions and took action fast. All the people who didn't are now stuck in maybe positions that they are not happy with, having lost positions, having their hours cut, being transitioned, from a business buying into another business, right? So, but if you know that situation is not ideal, have a plan. And the plan should include how long you're willing to stay and endure, right? So some jobs, you're there, be realistic about the experience that you're trying to receive, right? So, because sometimes you can get a certain amount of experience that then can propel you to the next position and to the next position. So have a plan of how long, worst case scenario, how long are you going to stay there? Because, if we could all just quit and not work, that'd be a different type of problem. But have a plan, because most of us can't just quit without a job. One is money, but two, it's lack of experience too. So have a plan of how long, you're willing to stay, even if it's just to get a certain amount of experience that will propel you to the next job, right? Have a plan. And then the two is have some very key action steps, right? So what could those action steps be? But have at least 2 to 3 action steps, and then of course take action, right? So let's go back to number 2, your action steps. What are your action steps? Well, your action steps might be, I need to update my resume. I need to look around at different positions. Where am I willing to go? What am I willing to do? And then start actually putting yourself out there. And one thing that I would say is go back to positions where you had already been turned down. I can tell you right now that in the OTs that I've hired in the last several years, majority of them have applied for my positions several times before they actually got in. And it's because as a hand therapy clinic, that specializes in chronic types of issues, post-surgical types of issues, so the difficult cases, right? And then we're a cash-based, out-of-network type of facility, so people have to make decisions about, wanting to come to be seen by us, willing to pay, willing to exchange for the value that we're giving. So I have to, essentially to deliver on the results that I promise, which is I'm going to find out what your problem is. I'm going to help you get the results, that we're looking for, right? We're going to do that together. So a lot of times they apply several times because I need, as an employer, as a boss, right? I'll tell you who I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone who essentially is an action taker. So if you tell me you want to be a hand therapist, if you tell me you want to specialize in hands, what have you done? What have you done so far? It makes a difference, especially for me. And I think if you talk to any small business owners, that they want to see that the person is interested, not in just the words, but in their actions, right? So it's a relationship like any other relationship. If a dude tells you he loves you, but he doesn't show it to you, do you believe him only on his word? Or are you looking for action? Certain type of action, right? So it's the same type of idea. So if you are, looking for a new position, you've got that plan created, you're taking the several different action steps. One of them should be, go back through and apply again at those places that might have turned you down before, right? Who knows? Maybe they're ready now, right? So things like that. If you are someone working in hands already, who are you asking in terms of, advice? Because you can ask somebody, for example, you can ask somebody who's not doing what you want to do, and they're going to give you different answers than the person who you ask, who's done what you want to do, right? So for example, if I'm a certified hand therapist and you want to become a certified hand therapist, and if you ask me, Huang, you're a certified hand therapist, I want to be a certified hand therapist, what are the steps? What do I need to do for me to get to where, I want to get to where you are? How do I do that? Right? I'm going to tell you from my perspective because I've done what you want to do. If you ask somebody, sometimes you're not even asking, and people are going to give you their opinion. So be careful what you take and what you put down. And I would say that even for me, take what you want, take what you need, and put back what you don't need. But if you're like, I want to be a certified hand therapist, and these are the things I'm going to do, I know it's, quote unquote, it's hard. There's a hump you get to, especially when you're studying for the exam, that gets really, it's a little bit of a struggle, right? But that's what makes it so good. Is that you gotta have that little struggle so that you can see how great it is. But if you go to somebody and they're not doing what you want to do, they're going to tell you, why are you struggling so much? Why are you working at a place that makes you work so hard, that makes you study all this for what? You could be you can be working in a nursing home and you can make so much more money. But at the end of the day, they're giving you advice, whether you ask or not. But the advice is going to be completely different because they don't want what you want. So you have to have discernment. You have to have judgment who you're asking your questions to, and being careful about whose advice you're willing to take and which ones you're not willing to take. And sometimes that can play a role and feed into some self-doubt and things like that. So yeah, who are you asking your questions to? As a business owner, I'm a business owner. I have a clinic. I'm sitting here. I'm waiting for the rain to sort of pass a little bit before I go. And I was waiting for one of my videos to download. But as a business owner, I need to be talked off the ledge sometimes. Like, do I fire this person? Do I hire another person? Like, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Right? During the pandemic, I needed to pivot. I had already started Hand Therapy Secrets, but I was going to take it real nice and slow, and a pandemic hit, and I was like, you know what? I need to go faster. And that was when I put out, like, I worked, like 3 or 4 days straight on putting together, the 30-day free hand therapy training. I put that out right when COVID hit, and I was like, oh man, like everyone's struggling just like I am. Like, I'm worried. People have time on their hands. Let me sit and put this program together. And I put it together, and people are still signing up for it daily, right? I'm actually thinking about retiring the 30-day program, maybe completely scratching that and doing another one. But, you know, as a business owner, it's important for me to ask the right people the questions I have, because if I ask my husband, or if I ask my mother, who actually is a business owner herself, but she runs her business very differently from the way I want to run mine, and the way I want to like run mine so that I can have a particular type of life, right? If I ask those two people, they're going to give me wildly different answers. And it's because sometimes they love you so much that they cannot give you the right, the best answer, because they care about you so much. They don't want you to get hurt. They don't want you to suffer. They don't want you to go through whatever they went through, right? So there's a lot of baggage towards that. So for me, I have to make sure that, when I'm talking to them about stuff, about business, that I'm just telling them like this, just the usual stuff. Yeah, the clinic's going great. I've hired this person. I've, let go of that person or whatever. But I don't go to them for business advice, because they're not going to give me a objective answer. Does that make sense? I'm going to go to my business coach who has done business and runs a successful business, and is on top of learning all the time about business, right? If I go to my business coach and say, I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z, this is my next step, or, what should my next step be? Because they're doing exactly what I'm doing, and because they're more successful than me, they're going to give me the steps and help me with the plan that I can follow, that's going to lead me in a place of abundance instead of scarcity, in a plan and an action of growth instead of fear, right? So, I've given you 3 different examples of whether you're just starting out, whether you're in the trenches, you're an OT, you're a PT, you're a CHT, and also if you're a business owner, right? Who you ask your questions to really plays a role in terms of the type of answer that you'll receive. And the type of answers that you receive can either help you go really fast or slow you down. Who you ask will determine the type of answers you get, which will affect the action that you're going to take. So you can either go really fast towards your goals, or you're going to go really slow towards your goal. And this is coming from an Asian woman who was raised to listen to your elders, to listen to your parents. And I had that conversation with my therapist, and my staff, actually. I was like, yeah, I work to not listen to my parents, funny enough, about certain things. It's not everything, but I don't listen to them about business. I don't listen to them about how I want to grow my career. Because if I listened to them about how I wanted to grow my career, I definitely wouldn't have the kind of career that I have right now, which is a really darn great one. It's been really good, I have to say. Freaking amazing career. 20-something years as a therapist. Still love it. Can you believe it? 3 years as an OT, and I never thought I'd be sitting here 22 years later saying that I still love being an occupational therapist, and I still love being a hand therapist, and I actually still love treating. Right? So if I had listened to my parents, I don't think I'd be where I am, because they're not necessarily I don't think they would have given me objective perspective. They would have given me a perspective from love and from fear, which is like they didn't want me to fail, right? They didn't want me to fail. So as I was switching jobs, they'd be like, why are you switching jobs? Just take the safe one. Just do the whatever, the easy one. Like, because I'm bored as shit and I don't want to do that. Right? I want a challenge. I want I want it to be technical. I like the technical work. I wanted the respect, the value of like actually helping someone achieve a goal. And I found that in hand therapy. My parents only see that now as being former patients of mine. My dad is currently a patient. My mother has been a past patient, and I treat them. I've treated them for their arms, for their necks, for their backs, for their hips, for their knees, right? Like, I got to do all that. And I don't think I would have done it if I had listened to them early on, because they love me so much, that they didn't want me to hurt. They didn't want me to fail. So who you ask your questions to will determine the value of the answers that you receive. So have discernment, have judgment around who you're asking, and what kind of answers you're receiving and willing to receive and accept, right? You've got to be picky about that. Who you ask makes a big difference. I did that quite a bit, and I say it from a business perspective now, when I started out asking people who did not have businesses, oh, you think I should go into business? Do you think I could do it? Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh, but it's so hard. Like, nobody's going to want to work for you. Everyone's quitting. And I have a great team. I have a great team right now. Did it take some work to get a great team? It sure did. But I have a great team right now. When I was studying to be a CHT, asking people who failed in the past, asking people who, didn't do what I was trying to do. What's the point? It's so hard, I took it once and I didn't pass, but I don't know what else to say about that. But I was asking all the wrong people, and I feel like it slowed me down. I still achieved it. I'm not saying you can't, but there was a lot of struggle in between that I feel like I could have missed, and hopefully this gives you a little bit of insight so you can miss it. So anyway, keep that in mind. I hope that helps no matter where you are on your journey as an occupational therapist. If you're interested in hands, I can help. You can go to the link in my bio and take a look at the different offerings we have. If you're just looking for free, please feel free to follow me or subscribe to our YouTube channel. We put out videos every week on the YouTube channel. I put a new video out every Sunday, and then our podcast. If you're a listener, go check out the podcast. It's Huang's World. If you're a watcher on YouTube, go to Hand Therapy Secrets, and I have tons of videos there all the time for you as well. And if you're following here on Instagram, I often share stories and stuff like that. So feel free to leave me a comment, leave me a message, and tell me a little bit about where you are in your journey as a hand therapist, as an occupational therapist, and I hope to connect with you soon. All right, I'm off. Gonna go get dinner. Have a great night, guys. Bye.